Tonight, the night sky is a pale blood color and holds the remnants of a good mood. I haven't felt well all day. Today, my mom went into the hospital, and these 24 hours have been dragging on forever. Yes, I'm only 11 years old, and I'm too young to understand what's going on, but somehow I'm sure that she ended up in the hospital because of the doctor's negligence. My mom had a tooth extracted a few days ago, and when the surgery was over, her smooth face swelled up and she felt sick. Big uncles went around the house and took my mom away. I was afraid I would never see my mom again. I was so scared. My dad tried to hide his worry, but he was panicked and thrashing around the room, his heartbeat echoing throughout the house. He nodded affirmatively to all my questions and tried to convince me that I didn't need to worry about my mom. But with each phone call, one after another, his expression grew more and more somber. There's no way I'm going to find out anything today. I want to sleep, but I'm scared. The next day seemed even longer. Mom was put in the intensive care unit. I didn't understand anything. I was confused. In the evening, the confusion passed, but the phone still didn't ring. Dad jumped up, offered me a cup of tea, and turned on the old TV. Fat faces ran across the flat screen, talking inappropriate adult nonsense. I flinched at the sound of the kettle whistling, and then the shadow of my parents crept into the room. Somehow, even after a cup of hot tea, I couldn't recover from the heat. I pulled a blanket over me, but that did nothing to ease my shivering. I finished the rest of the tea, put the dishes on the table, and so the time passed. We both watched TV, quietly soothing ourselves and hoping that Mom would get better soon. Suddenly, my cup made a small revolution on its axis and moved to the next cup on the table. Suddenly, a second daze swept over us. Our pale faces looked at each other with suspicious and misunderstanding smirks. "Yes," I said, but my voice was dry with fear. I decided to sleep on the couch, but the feeling of dread wouldn't leave me. I closed my eyes for a moment, and the room was shrouded in fog. A dead wind blew against the bare walls of the room. But where was my father? I looked around. The floor was worn, with holes and rotting pieces of wood here and there. A long abandoned light bulb dangled crookedly from a burned-out cord. The empty space was filled with something particularly horrible. The wind howled. The common room full of memories had become a dumping ground. Unmaintained glass shook as if alive. The tattered wallpaper twitched. A child. I hear screams, but I don't understand where they're coming from. My gaze wanders around the room, afraid to find the source of the sound. The voice is insistent and demanding. I lift my head in horror and stare out the broken window. Not so long ago, a television cable was dangling outside the window. It was definitely a person. A strong wind sways the cable, causing it to bang against the house, and I shudder involuntarily. The silhouette no longer calls out to me, and he seems glad to be recognized. Holding my breath, I waited for the stranger, who had gotten close to my apartment window for some reason. Black hands clawed at the edges of the sill. Scratching with his nails, the stranger began to climb through the window. I felt fear, the real fear that no one can get rid of. Fear that feels like a gunshot. The kind of fear that overwhelms you and won't let go. The man came closer and closer. Like an unknown creature, he crept into my apartment, my old apartment. I shuddered and woke up. The next day, we received word from the clinic that my mom had recovered, and a week later, she came home. I didn't see my mysterious guest again, and the dishes didn't move on their own. Was he trying to protect me, or